What's going down? I want to continue talking about a pretty difficult topic, but before we get into all that, what I'm going to first do is make a completely original drum kit in 20 seconds. Just to prove a point, that's all. This is what it's come to. Let's be honest, you're not gonna find these videos anywhere else. Why? Because I make them. So it would really help me out if you subscribe. If you've already subscribed, what also really helps is if you like the video and leave a comment. It's hard in the era of clickbait videos on YouTube and negativity in the producer community, and I appreciate your support. Thank you so much. So that was an original kit. Was it a great kit? Was it a kit that I would personally pay for, or is it a kit that I would personally release for sale or for free? No, it's not. It took me 20 seconds. What if I had actually spent, say, 20 hours making that kit? It would sound a lot better. And what if I actually made that kit with my heart and not just to prove a point because of all these dumbass comments I've been getting that basically say that it's impossible to make an original kit. It would sound better, okay? The other element too is I just recorded raw sounds and dropped them in a DAW. That's not really sound design. A lot of people out there who create amazing kits, they use a combination of recorded sounds and synthesis. I'll be the first one to admit I don't know anything about synthesis. It was really cool to hear Decap, who's one of the top original drum kit creators, talk about that. He's even revealed which plugins he uses for his sound design. Shroom kits, those sound great. Those are definitely original. Ghost put out a kit recently. Simon Zervita's putting kits out. Curtis King is putting kits out, and they all show their process of sound design, how they're doing field recordings, how they're doing studio recordings, how they're shaping their sounds with synthesis from scratch. Synthesis. I actually had to undergo speech therapy as a kid, so that word is traumatic. But damn, if the producer community isn't a mixed bag, where some days I just can't figure it out. We're just so damn sensitive and we're so focused on originality, and so many of us have this attitude about type beats. We don't make type beats. Type beats are unoriginal. We make beats that sound like dinosaurs in the future on one of Saturn's moons, and then in the same breath you'll defend somebody repackaging Roland sounds and selling them for $12.99 as an original kit. I don't know what to make of it. Some of the comments that I got on my podcast episode with Dame talking about this topic were just kind of mind-blowing. For example, here's one: every sound you can think of is recycled. There's nothing new under the sun. People just need things to talk about. Hip-hop is based on stealing beats and loops and samples and breaks. I mean, this person shouldn't even be allowed to use the word hip-hop. Another comment was, every sound has come from someone else, including yours, but it's okay for you to do it. And this is why I did what I just did with that drum kit creation anecdote, because this is not true, and you shouldn't be involved in making music if you're setting these kinds of limits. I mean, we're making art out of thin air as musicians, as creatives. And why the hell would we impose limits that are so easily disproven? For someone to actually say every sound has come from someone else, when I could literally just throw my phone against the wall and record it, and that's a new sound that didn't come from anywhere. I don't know what. Anyway, last comment. Hey man, just wanted to know if a genuinely talented producer wanted to send loops but wasn't sure how to give proof that all the melodies are original since all of the scams lately, how would he go about reaching you asking for a friend? Winky face. I see what you did. I see what this is. And I don't want this video to be a rant. I really don't. It would be so easy to be a rant. So I wrote freaking notes so that I didn't just sit here and rant. And I want to address that question and other questions. I want to be productive. I want to actually share my opinion on how the situation can be improved. What I think, just from my experience, is a better route. And I had a tweet that people either loved or hated, talking about how the new spam is, "Hey bro, your beats are hot." And you know, that's how the spam always starts. "Hey bro, your beats are fire. My CEO, Reckless Beats, thinks so too. You should DM him right away." It's a fake female profile. But now the new one is, "Hey bro, your beats are fire. Let me send you these loops." And it's spam. It's very clearly spam. It's not personalized. And you know, people are like, "How is it spam? You're sending someone loops. People want loops." People were scratching their heads like, DJ Payne 1 is an asshole. He doesn't want to. He's telling us not to send our loops out to people. No, I'm not. I'm saying don't spam people, and I've never not said that. I don't care if you're sending beats out. I don't care if you're sending loops out. I don't care if you're sending leaked celebrity nudes out. If people don't want them and you're just scraping their emails and doing this copy and paste, "Hey bro" type approach, that's considered spam. That falls under the umbrella, and it's annoying. So to me, that's a red flag already, because this person hasn't networked enough to have a trustworthy reputation such that they're able to just send, you know, packs out to producers who want them. So they're just kind of trying to contact anybody they can. Maybe they're not even ready for that. Maybe their samples aren't even good yet, but they're blasting them out to whoever they can. A lot of that stuff, it's obviously copied and pasted. And for me, even without the whole spam element in there, and it's not just me, other producers are saying this too, as part of the larger conversation, is if a producer's sending you these loops and trying to make it seem like, "Oh, let's work, let's collab," who else are they saying that to? It could be 5,000, 10,000, 30,000 other people. Actually, some of the spam is a little more tolerable because, and I think this is a smart idea, because a lot of the producers will say, "Well, you have to email me back and claim this sample and then I'll hold it for you," whatever. I understand that, cool. But it goes back to a matter of, is the sample good? Is the person likely to ignore the email because it's just too salesman-y? What are the terms? Are you being transparent? And that's kind of the next big point that I want to make. That's a big problem with just using random loops. You go on Splice, there's a end user license agreement. You go on the samplelab.com, there's a readme file that explains it all. If someone just sends you an email saying, "Hey bro, here are some loops," you have no idea what the terms are. You don't have trust build up with that person. And so from my perspective, and from the perspective of a lot of producers that have been around in the business for a while, that's another red flag. Because what if I get a placement with your loop and say, "Hey, by the way, I got a placement with your loop," and you're like, "Cool, give me 80%. It could happen. And I have no idea because I don't know you and there's no trust, and your name's not familiar. I just can't ask around and say, "Is this person cool?" No, we've never heard of him, but he sent me an email with a whole bunch of loops in it the other day. And then the other thing is, obviously, and you saw that from a video that I put up a couple weeks ago, what if the person sending the loops didn't actually make them? What if they're from Splice? What if someone just took a Splice sample and slowed it down and sent it out? Or what if, even worse, they took an Illmind sample and slowed it down and sent it out? That, like I said, my video a couple weeks ago is relevant now because that is exactly what somebody did to me. Another thing is, someone could have just replayed it or taken a MIDI from some popular producer and assigned a new VST to it and claimed it was original. So anything could happen. If you don't know the person, that trust isn't there, you don't know what they're capable of. When I put out that video about the producer that sent me a loop kit, and I actually listened to it even though it was spam, and I found that one of them was an Illmind sample. I don't think people understand how serious that is. Let's say I had gotten a placement with that sample, And I'm thinking it's a totally original beat. I'm thinking it's a collab from this guy that sent me this sample. Little do I know that sample was stolen from a colleague of mine and a producer of a very high caliber who knows the game and who has experience with this kind of stuff and can afford a lawyer. And like, I can get in a lot of trouble. It can destroy my reputation. It's bad, and it's bad on a very serious level. It's not a minor inconvenience. A lot of people are just kind of treating this whole game as just whatever happens. There are no rules. Trust me, there are. And I'm thinking worst case scenario here, but it happened to me. I didn't get a placement with it because I caught it right away, and I'm not using the samples, but it happened. And if it can happen to me, it can happen to you. And people in the comments were saying, hey, I got that same pack too. So potentially thousands of people were put in a position where they were being deceived, and it was a very real possibility that they could get in a lot of trouble. And if nothing else, they could just hurt their reputation. And as I'm saying, with reputation comes trust, and with trust comes opportunity. And if you're destroying your reputation, what else do you have? So what do you do? I don't want to just sit here and complain. I would say, number one, network, be a human. Copy and pasting is not something a human does. That's something that you can program a computer to do. Build trust. Obviously, trust is the basis of pretty much every relationship I have in the music business, and just period, in all businesses and in all human interactions. And the more trust you build, the less likely someone's going to reject your email because they have no idea who you are, and they think maybe you're trying to trick them or scam them or put them in a bad position. The other thing is, don't go from point A to point Z. You made a loop pack for the first time and you're trying to get it to Boy Wonder. It's probably not going to happen. You're skipping all these steps. And of course, everyone's going to do this at some point of their career, probably, because when I made my first beat, I thought it was time for me to win a Grammy. It wasn't. As a courtesy, I'm telling you this. Things take time. I would say reach out to other up-and-coming producers if you can. If you're an up-and-coming producer yourself and you want to try making sample libraries or drum kits or whatever, try reaching out to them. Try selling it on, if you have a BeatStars account already, you can just put it there and sell it. They don't charge for that. Why not? Just put it out there. There's this expectation that a lot of producers put onto themselves that they're just going to, get a placement off of their first or second sample kit or their first or second beat pack that they send out. Maybe it's happened a couple times, but it's really rare. And I'll tell you, and I'm blurring this out, but this is a kit that somebody sent me. I don't have a problem with the person who did this. I don't know the person who did this. They spammed out a drum kit to me and a bunch of other producers, but they didn't ask for money or anything. But I just want to say this one thing, and then we can move on. None of these sounds are original. As you can see, there's the Zaytoven 808, the Spins 808. I mean, these are all the Lex 808. These have been around for a decade plus. We know what these sounds are. Actually, this and this are the exact same sound, so I don't know why they're both in there. If we go into the vocal folder, I'm pretty sure it's this one. This is just a sound from a Roland kit, so this is actually property of Roland, the company that created the 808. My thing is this: if you cannot create an original drum kit or an original sample library or an original loop pack, do you need to be creating a drum kit or a sample library or a loop pack? The answer is probably not. So that's actually a really beautiful realization, right? You don't have to make a drum kit. You don't have to do this. You don't have, if you're sitting down in front of your computer and like, I want to make a drum kit, but I have no idea how to make a drum kit other than just taking other people's stuff. Just do something else. There are just so many producers doing it, and I think a lot of producers are getting discouraged with the placement game and with the online beat selling marketplace. Just because, like anything, it's difficult to get into, and as a result, they're trying to find new lanes. And so it's like, if my beats aren't selling online, I'll just make loop packs and send them out to better established producers, and that's how I'll get my money, and that's how I'll get my placements. So this is going to happen a lot more, and we have to protect ourselves if we find ourselves in a position where somebody we don't know is sending us purportedly original material for us to use. And there's nothing wrong with asking questions, and there's nothing wrong with protecting ourselves when we collaborate, when we download or purchase sample libraries. The biggest thing for me is when producers ask me, how do I make sure that the sample libraries and I'm using are okay for placements, or if they're okay for online sales. And I say, just read the license agreement, just read the terms. And if there isn't a license agreement, and if there aren't terms, and if there's no communication, then that's a bad sign. So support the people that are doing this whole thing the right way and are conducting good business professionally and respectfully, because we don't want to put ourselves in bad positions. We want to make good music. And you know, to those of you who are thinking about making samples and drum kits and this and that, you know what's right, you know what's wrong. I'm asking you not to poison the well and do things that are gonna hurt your fellow producer just in the pursuit of either fast money or shortcuts into certain circles, because it's not gonna work. And on top of it, it's white noise, and we need education, we need trust, we need resources, actually useful, practical resources in the producer community. We don't need more white noise, we don't need more deception, we don't need more conflict. But I really think it does come down to some very simple concepts that we already understand. We just sometimes pretend that we don't, to try to justify doing things that we know are wrong, just because in the back of our minds we think that there's a chance that doing these morally wrong things are going to benefit us in some way. Food for thought. Much success to you. Be safe out there. Stay healthy. Peace.